Some countries experience change through riots and revolutions or slow and gradual reforms. Three examples of the countries that experienced these reforms are Greece, Great Britain, and France. Although conservatives maintained the status quo, national revolution and national liberation succeeded in Greece in the 1820s. Despite being ruled by Ottoman Turks, the Greeks are united by their language and Greek Orthodox religion. The general growth of national aspirations inspired a desire for independence. This led to an open revolt in 1821. The revolt was led by Alexander Ypsilanti, a Greek patriot and general in the Russian army. The Greek people had won their independence in a heroic war of liberation against the Ottomans. Great Britain was reshaped through a process of gradual reform rather than revolution. Britain was remarkably stable, and only 8% of the population were allowed to vote. By the 1780s, there was a growing interest for political reform. The Corn Laws prohibited the importation of foreign grain unless the price at home rose to improbable levels. With widespread unemployment and post-war economic distress, this triggered protests by urban laborers. The Whigs Reform Bill of 1832 to amend the representation of the people of England and Wales was enacted. The bill moved British politics in a democratic direction and allowed the House of Commons to emerge as a legislative body. In results, voters increased by 50%. Mass participation made possible a popular crusade led by the fighting liberals, who argued for lower food prices and more jobs in industry. Louis VIII granted a constitutional charter in the Bourbon Restoration of 1814 that was a liberal constitution for France. The charter protected economic as well as social gains made by section of the middle class and peasants in the French Revolution. Louis VIII's charter was liberal but hardly democratic, with only about 100,000 people out of 30 million had the right to vote. King Louis VIII's successor, Charles X, wanted to reestablish old order in France. As a result, Charles' government turned to military adventure to gain French nationalism and gain popular support. In June 1830, a French force of 37,000 crossed the Mediterranean and took the capital of Algiers. Charles issued decrees stripping much of the wealthy middle class of its voting rights. Louis Philippe, his successor, accepted the constitutional charter of 1814 and adopted the red, white, and blue flag of the French Revolution. Demands for reform went unanswered. Everyone was disappointed. They had made a revolution, but it was all for nothing.